Hello, everybody, and thank you for tuning in to the Liberty Report. With me today is Daniel McAdams, our co-host. Daniel, good to see you.
How are you this morning, Dr. Paul?
Doing fine,
Good.
doing well,
Good.
ready and raring to go.
That's right.
And we're going to talk about a few of your favorite people.
That's right.
The type of favoritism you like because they provide a lot of ammunition for you.
That's right.
Well, we're gonna start off and inform the public, not that they don't already know, especially our audience already know that Pelosi is not to be trusted.
Yeah.
But boy, it's so arrogant.
Yeah.
You know, it's been in the news, and she's out there. You know, forcing all this stuff on the people, on the voters. So she decided, I guess she's been doing it all along.
Yeah.
You know, the people aren't allowed to go to the hairdresser.
Yeah.
No, that's beyond, because you might spread the disease.
Yeah.
But she's been going all along, but she got caught.
She got
And
caught.
what a tragedy. So I'm sure she must have an answer and an explanation on this. They always have an explanation. The only explanation I've ever heard them say is what they're saying. We're special people.
Yeah.
We need this. We need some help, and we'll talk about a few other mayors and things who do the same
Yeah.
thing. We're special. We have to be taken care of. We need more protection. But that sort of is conveyed to politicians in general. You know, whether it's at the national level. I didn't realize it was so bad at the local level,
Yeah.
that they're special people. But I think what has happened recently with coronavirus and the lockdown is it's given too much leverage and ammunition for the local politicians. They were never quite so active, but they must have the mentality of enjoying power, and all of a sudden they can write laws by just having mandates and just having executive orders. But she got caught, and that is good, and you say, well, this looks like it's a horrible, horrible thing what's happening to it, and I'm looking for a good thing.
Yeah.
Maybe all the stuff that we're going to be talking about, especially things like this, well, people will conclude it's a lost cause, we can't do it. But the more of this we see, the only hope we have is that people say, my gosh, I didn't know it was that bad.
Yeah.
More than just our small little group. More people. And I think that's what we're seeing. We're witnessing more people waking up. But if you want somebody to wake up the average person in this country, maybe Pelosi could be a good example of the person to use to wake this country up.
Yeah, it could be. There could be a silver lining there. Well, what happened now, there's a salon in San Francisco, and these salons have been forced to be closed. Hers was not allowed to reopen. I think this is what happens a lot in beauty salons. They rent chairs out to other stylists. And so the owner, Erica Cayos, was interviewed in several places. One of the people that rents a space from her, got a text from Pelosi's aide saying, hey, the Speaker of the House needs to come down and get her hair washed and blow dried or whatever they do. And so the person that rents the chair texted the owner saying, you're not going to believe this, but Pelosi's coming to get her hair fixed, you know. What, are you kidding? So she did, and what happened is some surveillance camera captured Pelosi there getting her hair done. And the owner, you know, got livid, got mad, and got angry. And there are some great quotes from her because she's been shut down. And here's a couple of things she said. It was a slap in the face that she feels she can just go and get her hair done. Well, no one else can go in, and I can't work. And then she said, we've been shut down for so long, not just me, but most of small businesses, and I just can't. It's a feeling of being deflated, helpless, and honestly beaten down. I've been fighting for 6 months for a business that took me 12 years to build and reopen. I'm a single mom. I have 2 small children, and I have no income. She's not allowed to survive, and yet Pelosi trots in. And the hypocrisy really is dripping, and it really is thick. And we actually, you're not going to be surprised that Trump and Trump's people have jumped onto this because it's just dropped from heaven into the lap. But here's something that was tweeted, and this is really kind of funny in a way. Here's Pelosi on the left telling everyone, all the rest of us peons, that we have to wear masks. And here's her on the surveillance tape on the right just waltzing in without it. Let's listen to Pelosi.
Science that says you must test, trace, treat, you must wear your mask, you must have sanitation, you must wear your mask, you must wear your mask. The science that...
There you have it. Wear your mask, but not me.
Yeah, another part of Pelosi is her attitude and her pomposity about the Constitution. she lectures us quite frequently when she gets out there and explaining why she does these things and why she has to challenge what's happening in the Congress and with the Republicans, which some of that is justified. But she has no room for criticizing the weakness on the right, on their imperfections on the Constitution, because quite frankly, you've been around that place and you know how many votes we take and have taken up there that really follow the Constitution. But she gets up there and she brags about why we have to be so constitutional and we follow it and the other people are such bad people. So she really just adds fuel to the fire because she can't be believable. How many people are going to believe her when she has these statements? And she's been around a long time, but the people of San Francisco, they love her. She's been able to bring the goods home. But what happens when they run out of the goods to deliver? And that's where the real crisis comes.
That is. And here's a little bit more from this FoxNews.com story about this, the owner, Erica Cayos. And really, it's very sad, but I'll read there's another little bit of it. She said the area where her salon is located has turned into, quote, a third world country. She said every other storefront is completely vacant, shut down, and boarded up. And because of the shutdown, the store closures, we lost people, my clients, my employees. It's all due to the politics in San Francisco, she said, adding that the homeless population is everywhere, and they're defecating all over the city. It's gotten so extreme, she said, it's so night and day from what it was a year ago, that everyone is fleeing. And that's something that we're seeing. I read something earlier today in New York. You can't get a moving company to come help you move out because they're so busy. There are so many people trying to get out of these cities. Maybe that's a good sign.
I guess we shouldn't be surprised that Biden decided to campaign a little bit, that he wasn't going to be a shoo-in. The stats aren't going, even those who falsify the stats had to show that Trump is actually going up significantly with black voters. Because the false assumption that for some reason, I think it's such an insult to black people that if you're a black person that you're going to do this and you endorse this nonsense. They don't. They're sort of trapped in this whole philosophic argument. But when the truth comes out, they should be talking to somebody. I think they have to talk to people who have libertarian views. Of course, that would be our suggestion. But even having conservatives, constitutionalists, and moving in this direction rather than the whole solution for anybody in a minority class is more welfareism. I just think that is such an insult. One thing you can never say if you're in politics, occasionally I would say it, and that is that I think affirmative action is so dangerous. And I think Walter Williams helped point that out to me because it's such an insult. It's saying, well, we have to do this for black people. They don't quite say that. For minorities, people who have been hurt by the white people. And they say, we have to help them. It says they can't make it without it. Even Oprah Winfrey talks about that. Did she need a welfare system to get where she is? Maybe freedom helped her. So that is pretty bad too. But anyway, I think more people are waking up, and these statistics are probably at a time when they're starting to count a little bit. And I think that maybe Pelosi will be crying on election night. Who knows? The whole thing is, though, when people look at it from our viewpoint, we still have a heck of a lot of problems. It'd be great to see the thugs who are more thuggery than the rest, the people who are pushing all this stuff on the streets, that they not win. But we still have a long way to go when you talk about deficit financing, the foreign policy that we've talked about for so long, civil liberties, the whole works. We're at a crossroads. We have a moral and a financial bankruptcy that sort of isn't discussed in real terms, but that problem is going to be around also.
Yeah, and we have a whole new generation of black libertarians. Think about people like Eric July and Maj Touré and many others, following in the footsteps of Walter Williams.
Right.
You're right. This whole idea of this one category is ridiculous. But we don't want to just pick on Pelosi. It would be so mean of us if we did.
We'll go back to her when we need her.
But here, this is a pattern that we've noticed, and you see it over. And we talked about it a little bit yesterday. All of these political leaders who have the harshest crackdowns on people, the harshest lockdowns, all of you better put your masks on. They never follow these orders themselves. And let's just go through a couple of these next clips really quick. Oh, here's Governor Cuomo out there walking his dog with no mask on in New York. Oh, you're not supposed to do that, are you? Let's do the next one. Here's Whitmer, breaking her own rule. Anyone else who did what she's doing right there, walking next to people, would face a $1,000 fine. She did it and didn't care. Here's what she said. This is back in the time of the George Floyd. I thought it was an important moment to show my support and show a unified leadership out of the executive office of the governor. In other words, she said, I did it because I wanted to do it. It's what I wanted to do, so I did it. You know, here's another one. We talked about her yesterday, too. Pretty notorious. Same kind of thing. Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot, back in June, I think it was, she went out to get her haircut, even though she shut down all the haircutters for everyone else. Hey, I'm the public face of the city. I'm on national media, and I'm out in the public eye. You know, so I think you have one too.
Yeah, but she's also the one that demanded taxpayers protect her and have the police there. I thought she was against the police. Oh, except for us.
her house.
And she was so blunt. It was like, you know, I'm the mayor. I need this attention. I'm taking care of everybody. How can you not deny me this special protection? But there was a little story in about the Philadelphia mayor. He had everybody else. It was half open. You couldn't eat inside. You had to sit outside and spread the tables out.
Yeah.
But the mayor was inside having his own private dinner. So it was there. But the other one that got to me. This comes out of California, and it comes from the DA. And the DA evidently was trying to sort this out, you know, and trying to figure out how to file the charges, you know, the important things. How evil are these people? So the DA here says, California DA asked the police to consider whether looters needed what they stole before filing.
That makes it okay.
You know, but they believe this stuff.
Yeah.
But this is thing, and I bet you could find that I've mentioned this many times, and what I've tried to promote is that rights have nothing to do with needs and demands and sympathies and all this. Yes, those are problems, but they can be dealt with. But this idea that you need something or want something, that they have a right to it, they don't. But here, it's just right out there. And they are, you know, they're excusing, oh, well, if you stole something under $20 or $100, we don't have time to mess with that. Just go steal what you want. Yeah. So if you do 150, we won't notice. You know, that's the whole stuff. But right out there, need is the right. If you have a need as a right, and basically, though, that is generally the way government theft is carried out.
Yeah.
You know, and that's been, you know, ever since welfare has been endorsed as a moral principle that I need something. You have more than I have. I don't want to go in your house. You might shoot me. So I'm going to send my congressman, in there to steal it from you, to redistribute it. And the falsehood there is not only is it morally wrong, but it's economically foolish because it doesn't work. You know, one day you rob somebody of something and you have benefits, but it produces a society like we have. It is one of the fundamental reasons why California is like California and why so many inner cities, the higher the demand for welfareism and the far left in the big cities, where's most of the problems, which leads to the violence too.
Yeah.
Shouldn't be hard to understand.
No, it isn't. And I've got one more example of hypocrisy, if we can put this up. And this is a little closer to home. You wouldn't think about it. Republican governor. Here's Greg Abbott, our own governor. He tweeted this yesterday. Here he is out there enjoying the opening of dove season. And he's not breaking any of his laws, although he did issue an edict that you have to cover your face outside if you can't social distance. But the thing is, we're not begrudging the governor going out and enjoying himself. This is what he likes to do. This is how he likes to spend his free time. And that should be perfectly fine. But here's what the same governor is doing to small businesses in Texas. Hit the next one. This is amazing. The Rail Club said this photo was taken August 29th. This photo is of the mighty TABC, that's the alcohol authority in Texas, placing my patrons, staff, and myself in what is referred to as a kill box. They went in even though they were following all the rules. 25% capacity, shooting hand sanitizer on everyone, checking everyone's temps. Forget it. The cops came in, put them all in a kill box, and shut them down. So on one hand, it's great. Governor Abbott gets to do something he enjoys doing. But what about if you would like to enjoy going out and having a beverage? What if you like to go out and listen to some music? No, that's not okay.
Well, can we switch over to Australia?
Yeah.
We've talked about them before. They're not so much on the forefront of libertarianism.
No, not these days.
And there was another story here, just falls in place as long as you believe the government has this authority and it's morally correct to run other people's lives. But this one got more people's attention, I think maybe because of the condition of the woman that has suffered the consequence of the police. She's pregnant, and they come in and arrest her. They woke her up. She was in her pajamas, and no sympathy whatsoever. I think they handcuffed her and hauled her off. And this is just to show that she was promoting the fact that she'd like to she's like to change this lockdown. She's anti-lockdown, which means oh, she's a terrible person. No, that means she's probably pro-liberty, that she believes in herself and that she has responsibilities and she wants to take care of herself. And he resents the fact that the thugs come in and arrest her and put handcuffs on her. So it's a bad sign. But once again, it caught the attention of a lot of people.
Yeah.
Are we going to be that bad? But you know what? Some people right now are looking and saying, are we going to be as bad as the United States? Our lockdown process is worse than many of the countries now that are in Europe and Scandinavia. They all have had a lot less. So we're not a very good example of what they should be doing.
And you wouldn't even have this kind of police state even in East Germany. In Australia, they have drones flying around. If they see anyone without a mask or anyone too far from home, they get zapped. So here, this is 28-year-old pregnant Zoe Bueller. She's in her home. The day before, here's what she posted on Facebook. Anyone from Ballarat, please join us in our fight for freedom and human rights. That's what she posted on Facebook. And somehow the government is monitoring these Facebooks. They sent a bunch of cops in. She's saying, what's going on? What's going on? She's in her pajamas in front of her children. They slapped handcuffs on her. She couldn't figure out what was happening. What did I do? They confiscated all of her phones, all of her computers. She said, I've got an ultrasound in an hour. Too bad, you can't go. She's arrested for incitement. Her partner, her life partner, I guess, he said, can't we just delete the post? We're sorry. No, you've already committed the crime. So they haul her off to jail for simply saying, we need to demonstrate for human rights and freedom. This is sick. This is pre-crime. It's thought crime. And I tell you what, Australia is in bad shape right now.
And they'll justify it based on lies when it comes to, the fear mongering that has gone on with coronavirus. And we're back to that thing that we've been fighting it ever since it started, believing the reaction is a hoax. The virus is not a hoax, but the reaction is a hoax to terrify people, to scare them to death, and people respond, and then they capitulate. They go along with it because they're intimidated, not only by the government, but they can be intimidated by their friends and their neighbors. So on and on, and they do not look at it from a fundamental principle of what a free society would be all about. People would like to say, well, you guys are for freedom, but you don't care about people. You don't care about feeding people and taking care of their medical needs. Well, if it would be a little tougher if everything they did worked. But nothing works. They destroy your freedoms, and then they destroy the economy, and what happens? We end up with violence, and that's where we are today. So unless they change it, so I like to see this being knocked down, the people who are running these cities, but you still have to come up and say, so how would you do it? What should it be done? And most of the time, they just want to change the leadership. I mean, in Washington, over the decades, has it really changed the directions? All the way back to when I started looking at politics with Barry Goldwater, that we should have less spending and all that. That doesn't happen. We had Republicans in and Republicans out. The wars, they come and go. The spending come and go. The Fed comes and keeps coming. So it doesn't change anything, but it still to point out where the problems are, but I want to see people when they start emphasizing, say, well, this have the answers. I think a lot of people do have the answers on what would you do as libertarians, because we're not likely to be interviewed on national TV and lined up and say, well, if you don't let people do such and such, how are the people going to eat? Well, they're going to eat better than they're eating now, you know, with all the food lines and what's going on now. They'd have better medical care, and they wouldn't be, San Francisco wouldn't be the where it is. That isn't, you know, freedom didn't give us San Francisco.
No,
it was the worst type of authoritarianism at the national level, but in this case, at the local level.
Yeah.
So one thing that I've changed on, I've starting to realize that authoritarianism is so infectious that even the local people have to be dealt with too. And we have, look at all what we just mentioned today, the mayors, and there's county commissioners and judges and the whole works. It's a whole philosophic system, and that's why we have to change attitudes and help people decide what should the role of government be? Yeah. And we'd like to simplify that answer.
Well, you know, as the people starve, the top communists and the top Nazis were all eating very well and living very well.
Right.
But you mentioned the lies that are used. And here's one of the most disgusting aspects of what's happening. And it's not just Australia, but this is a good example. It's the collusion between social media giants and governments to keep people down. They're not giving people a voice. They're taking their voice away. Let's look at this next clip. This is pretty chilling, I think. It's pretty disturbing. Social accounts deleted as war to combat COVID conspiracies heats up. And what it is that Facebook is colluding with the government of Australia to remove thousands of Facebook groups and pages and posts that question the lockdown, that question the crackdown in Australia. Here's one example. On Monday, Facebook deleted a prominent, and here's what they call it, anti-lockdown conspiracy group. Millions rise for Australia. It's a conspiracy if you don't believe everything the government tells you. You're a conspiracy theorist. So the group had 120,000 followers, and all they were doing is encouraging people to attend the upcoming Freedom Day protests on September 5th, taking place throughout Australia. And for that crime, for telling people stand up for your freedom and your rights, the whole page is wiped out, everything is wiped out, and they're doing this to thousands of pages. They're doing the bidding of governments to silence the people, not empower them.
And this is a big challenge for a lot, including the libertarians. How do you rein in the social media? Because they are the censors. And the way I simplify it in my own mind is that the social media is an arm of the government.
It is,
and
exactly
they
that
will
way.
do. They're an arm of the government, and that has to be dealt with. But I wanted to, hopefully we have time to go into this one, is Fauci's in the news again, as well as our friend Scott Adams. Scott Atlas. You know, we still believe that he's on the right track, and he got high praise. Didn't know what would happen. And now they're after him. And Bob Wenzel, had a good article on this, that they can't stand this. And there's a disagreement on herd immunity. And they're saying that because that word was used, that, he's a bad guy, we have to get rid of him.
Yeah.
And some are predicting it's just starting. It starts in the social media. We can't have him counteracting Fauci.
Yeah.
So Fauci needs just outright fired or something. But right now, they're saying that Atlas is a bad guy, and they're going to try to discredit him. And the big thing is over this herd immunity. And unfortunately, I think it's a poor term because the bad guys are able to manipulate that. But the word I use is natural immunity.
Yeah.
There's a natural immunity, and there's artificial, immunity that comes about with vaccination. And that's what the contest is all about. And they don't want anything to do with natural immunity and allowing people to develop it. But I think the argument was that Atlas wanted to make it mandatory and insult and don't do anything else, and just throw everybody out in the street. Nature will take care of it all, which wasn't the case.
It's not the case, and this is on Bob Wenzel's Target Liberty, and I think Wenzel is speculating with some good evidence that Fauci is behind this smear campaign to smear Atlas as a crazy kook because of this conspiracy theory called hey, you've got an immune system, let's let it work, right?
Yeah.
Big conspiracy theory. So, and he has a history, Fauci has a history of doing this, of smearing people. So people should go to Target Liberty and read this. I've got a couple quick clips to show as I close out. This first one just goes, file this under, here's another example. This is from Arizona. Maricopa County health official admits manipulating COVID-19 deaths. She got caught. She got caught inflating the numbers, and she had to admit it. Now here's something, a couple of clips here that are really fascinating. And this really blows everything out of the water versus cases versus deaths in COVID. Because here's France and Spain. Look at this massive rise. It's a case-demic. Look at all these cases. We got to shut it down again and hit the next one. But what's really happening with all these cases? Well, here's deaths. So just go back and forth again once again. Cases and then deaths. These people are getting tested and showing positive for tiny fragments of this virus, and they're not dying anymore. But the scaremongers are still using this to manipulate people, destroy their lives, not let them go back to having a normal life again, and it's disgusting and needs to stop.
You know, sometimes we see in the paper of the far left doing things and you can't understand why. They might take a monument of an individual that was really friendly to them philosophically, and they still tear the monument down. They, why are you doing this? Why are they doing this? Well, most of them are pretty wild, and they do whatever they're told to do, and they just, go and are self-destructive. But the other plan is that they want the chaos, and it's very deliberate, and they do this. And it reminds me of what a major said in the during the Vietnam War, when we were fighting a very, very immoral war, in Vietnam, and we went in and destroyed the whole village. And the major, it was quoted by a reporter that he says, "You have to burn the village to save the village." Yeah. And isn't that about what we're doing now? Yeah. If we don't stop this, even that it sort of explains why, the bad guys will even self-destruct the people that if they were working with us, they'd probably work and sort some of this out. But no, it's destruction, destroy everything. I think Marxism actually teaches that. You destroy everything and start from scratch. Well, I sort of have a thought that they are going to destroy things. We might have to start from scratch, but of course build it a lot different ways. Yeah. Because if the monetary, or when the monetary system comes down, which is ignored now on purpose, that you have to have a new one. So you really have to start from scratch again. We just can't get a new Federal Reserve Board chairman. It doesn't work. So I'm afraid we're in the process of burning down the village, and hopefully we can help the people to wake up and realize that. And I am quite certain our viewers are very alert to all of this, and we are very pleased that you come and visit with us each day, and help us spread the word. I mean, get somebody to tune in to our report, because our numbers are going up, and I do notice that I always say quality, quality, quality. Well, if you can get quality and then your numbers go up, that's even better. But that is, I think that is happening. We are getting more viewers, but it depends on our viewers to spread the message. The one-on-one is the most powerful way to spread a message, and I think that's what we're doing. But we want to be let you know we're very thankful for your being loyal supporters. And I want to ask you to return, to the Liberty Report soon.